Welcome to Haskell Hall. It's a pleasure for me to welcome each and every one of you. You are actually the reason why we do what we do here. And this place is about to be transformed. It's going to acquire a very different dynamic, and I'm happy about that. I enjoy this place when we have students. Let me introduce our presenter for this morning. She's very professional, and she really cares about you guys. And it's an honor for me to present Marianne Kruger.
Thank you. Vito, it's an honor to work with you and for you. And it's great to meet you guys finally in person. I've been seeing you on the NSO. Remember that? And your little bitty pictures, I wish they would make them bigger. You can only almost, so I loved it when you sent out the assignment in Canvas where you have to upload, and you guys did a lot of neat pictures, and it was so neat to see your families and the places where you live and hear about some of your hobbies. Some of them were wonderful, some of them not so wonderful. And anyway, it's good to get to know you guys a little better, and I'm looking forward to now connecting in real life. So let's bow our heads while I have just a quick prayer. Father in heaven, I just ask that you will send down your Holy Spirit, give us wisdom, give us understanding during this devotional time, and just infuse my words with your power. In Jesus' name, amen. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for God's own possession, to proclaim the virtues of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. Chosen people, royal priesthood. That's something, isn't it? My family likes animals. We've had a lot of animals, and I'm sure a lot of you have too, through the years. Right now we've whittled down to 3 dogs, Najoni, Hogan, and Tasha, and a cat named Einstein, and 2 ducks, Quick and Quack. And that's enough for now, for sure. But in the past, of course, it's been dogs, cats, horses, donkeys, llamas, goats, rabbits, chickens, ducks, guineas, doves, parakeets, parrots, snakes, and other reptiles, a baby fawn even, and our most unusual, probably a possum. And in every one of those instances, they almost all have a story with them, many stories. I'm going to tell you one about Basil. Basil is a donkey. The girls and I had this brilliant idea. We're always having ideas. When you're homeschooling, you're at home, and you're doing school, and you're a lot of doing. Anybody homeschooled here? Okay, quite a few. So you kind of know what your parents are always filling those times that you have when you're not doing academics. You're doing, gardening, or you're doing animal care. You're doing all kinds of other creative things. So we had this great idea. We were going to get goats, and we were going to raise goats. We were going to sell them and make all kinds of money to save back for college. Well, I have a confession to make. Through the years of all these ventures of we're going to get rabbits to make money, we're going to do goats to make money, we're going to do this to make money, we have never made any money on any animal that we have ever bought. We have always put far more money into them than we could ever get out of them. But anyhow, the experience was all invaluable, very, very, very valuable. So no regrets. So anyway, we started out with this goat venture, and we drove actually to southern Illinois because we found a lady that had some goats there. She had Nubian goats that were really a nice quality. Nubians are big goats. And they're big milk goats. And so we thought, we'll get some Nubians. So we went up there, and it was near where my folks were living at the time. And so we got 2 goats. They were sisters. Um, Bluebell, she was a black and white, big, nice, pretty spots on her. And she had a sister. We weren't going to get the other one because she wasn't quite as pretty, but they were sisters, and we didn't want to separate them. So we got Sissy, and she was a black goat, and she had a really neat personality, but she wasn't quite as pretty as Bluebell. And so we were wanting to breed for beauty, and in Tennessee was where we were living. It seemed like people had reasons for breeding, and so people would collect goats and have beautiful goats and show goats and stuff like that. So we wanted to have these big, pretty black and white goats. So we had a good start, and we ended up getting a little billy goat, and then it takes like a couple years before you can breed. So, this is kind of a long investment of time. So as they were getting older and our herd was growing, finally, we had some babies out of this, and it was fun, exciting. We loved the goats. We were having so much fun with them. And we had read, we were wanting to get a herd animal to protect them because, there's coyotes, lots of coyotes. In Tennessee, we had coyotes, and they were huge. They were as big as wolves. And so we had electric fence around them, but still that wouldn't keep coyotes out. So we were thinking, should we get dogs? We were like, well, I don't think our neighbors would like barking dogs all night, So we're like, no. And so we thought, oh, we'll get a donkey. So a donkey, we were going to get the donkey to protect the goats. And they'll do that. They're known for that. So we found a donkey. Actually, we thought we didn't do a whole lot of research on this. Obviously, it'll tell you what you'll find out. But we thought we'll get a baby and raise it with the goats. So there'll be this bond, and the donkey will be, want to protect the goats. So we actually couldn't find a baby, but we found a mother that was expecting. So we got her, and a few months later, we had a cute baby donkey. And I know all baby animals are darling, but if you've never seen a baby donkey, they are so cute. They are just like unbelievably cute. They're so soft, and they're big. Oh, they're just amazing. So we loved him. He was a little boy. We named him Basil. And so we started, she began nursing him, and then became the point of weaning. We thought, well, now we want to separate them. So we had Beatrice, which was the mom's name, was in the field with the horses. And so then we had another field separate where the goats were. And so we took Basil and put him in with the goats, but there was this longing, wanting to get back to Mom, and we knew that we weren't going to probably end up keeping Beatrice, and we wanted him to bond with the goats, so we took Beatrice up to my folks' house in southern Illinois, which, interesting enough, she started her career there as the goat on the Kids Time television show in the Bible stories. Anybody ever see not a goat, as the donkey? Anybody see a donkey in any of the Kids Times? That's Beatrice. So she was living with my folks, who ended up starting a herd of donkeys at their house. But so back in Tennessee, Basil is connecting with the goats. And over time, he starts to think he's a goat. He plays with goats. He's not much different in size, because he's a miniature donkey, and they're big goats. So for a long time, they're very similar in size, but there came a point where Basil, started getting bigger. And while he was young, we had this big A-frame that the goats could run up on, and they would play King of the Mountain and shove each other off and all that kind of stuff. So Basil would run up on top of that, and just like a goat, and jump off, and goats love to play. They're so fun to watch. Well, Basil, putting on weight, eventually climbed up and broke the whole thing. And then he started playing too rough. He was playing so rough with the goats, like this is like over a year's time, so he would like pick them up by their tail and throw them and just play. He was playing, and they're like going, oh my goodness. And then finally, we figured we need to do something because he bit one of the tails off in the process of that. And so we were like, oh dear, okay. Well, so we're going to have to put Basil back in with the horses just to protect the goats. And so we put Basil back in with the horses. Now, while he was with the goats, there were times that he would just stop and stare over at the horses like, wow, they're amazing. He would just be in awe. He would just watch them. And then he'd catch himself and go back to the goats like, I'm a goat. And so, but now he was in with the horses. So it was a promotion. He really thought, I have arrived. And he was, of course, much smaller than they were. And he would try to be with them, try to hang out with them. And just, they would just kind of look at him and, and just go back to grazing. And so he would do things like maybe go and bite somebody, and he'd like to stir up the crowd, and so they would all start kicking, how horses do, they get all excited and they start kicking up their back legs and running around the field, and he would just stand back and just like, oh, look what I did. And he would just get so excited, and you could just tell there was this, he just thrilled at the way the horses would act. But he never quite was a horse. He never quite could measure up to the horses. So, I'm not even following my notes, so I don't know why I'm doing this, but okay. I think I'm already 2 pages ahead. All right, so then we got this call to come to Weimar. We felt the Lord was calling us to come here, and so we were going to have to get rid of our animals, all except the dogs. And so we decided, my parents said, we'll bring the horses and Basil up, to our place. We'll take them. The people that bought our house were wanting our goats and Yama at this time, too. We were going to do the Yama route of protecting the goats. And so we had Yama, and so we took them up to my folks' house. Now, by this time, my parents had quite a herd of donkeys. They probably had half a dozen or more donkeys and in their field. So when we unloaded, Beatrice was one of them, the mom. So when we unloaded the horses and Basil, they kind of looking at these donkeys like, Basil kind of looked over at them, kind of like, But then he, turned and stayed with the horses. But there were times, like feeding time and stuff, that they would kind of come together, and you would see that Basil, he kind of would sniff his mom. It's like there was recognition. You could tell there was a little recognition. But he would pull himself away and go back to the horses. So always the donkeys would be grazing in one part of the field. The horses would be in another. They didn't really mingle unless they had to cross paths. So one day I saw Basil this was actually after a few weeks, as we stayed with my parents for almost 2 months before we actually came here. So some weeks later, I saw Basil out there at the pond, which is in the middle of the field, and he was staring. He was staring over at the donkeys, and then the horses were over here, and he was staring over at the horses, and you could just see his wheels were turning. It was like he was having to make decisions. It's like there was something going on in his head. And it's almost like he was asking himself, who am I? Or where do I belong? And so to take a break from that, during your college years, I have to draw a parallel here. During your college years, students make decisions that invariably shape every aspect of your life. This is from a study. So in college, oftentimes you are at a point in your life where you're confronted with all kinds of questions. Big one is, who am I? I mean, you've just come out of high school, most of you, and you're feeling like you're maybe just starting to find yourself, and then you're thrown into college, and you really have to it's a kind of a deciding point between really being a kid and being an adult. Who am I? And, where's my heart? How do people perceive me? How do I want people to perceive me? And unfortunately, sometimes now it's like, what am I? There are some that have questions. What am I? In this world of ever increasing gray area, we've reached a time when the emphasis needs to be encouraged in gender distinction, unfortunately. The world tries to make women think that they don't need men, that anything a man can do, a woman can do better. You've all heard it. Not so, ladies, and not so, gentlemen. Each of these roles God has ordained for a purpose, and each is vital to health and happiness. Women, quite honestly, women are crying out for men to take the lead and be the priest of the home, to be the protector and respecter of women that God has made them to be. Ladies, celebrate. Celebrate your femininity. Be happy to play the role that God has designed you to play, to be the weaker vessel, to be the helpmeet, because it's actually a very powerful place to be. Society also has whittled down our old men and mocked the young men. And gentlemen, don't let them do it. Embrace your masculinity. Be strong. Be spiritual leaders. And quite honestly, studies show, too, that one of the most attractive traits about a man is his spirituality to females. So there's a bonus. Not only do you have a good connection with God, but the women will just want you. but that's what you can tell, that through the things that are happening in the world, that Satan is really working on destroying our males, our men, and our leaders. So women, allow the men to be men. Allow them to open the door for you. Allow them to carry your books. And that sounds old-fashioned, but it's not. It's not. So, what's another question? Oh, also, the way you act now in college and the decisions you make now may determine the life partner you end up with. So be careful what you're doing. Make sure that you're setting the path that you want your life to go. So another is, what am I supposed to do with my life? Should I be a doctor? Should I be a teacher? Should I be a pastor? Should I be a nurse, an architect? For men, this is usually a really weighty thing, because as God has made us, the men, whether they say it or not, they have this inner responsibility to be the breadwinner for a home, for a family. That's how we're wired. And so it's something that they don't take lightly. Sometimes it's a very stressful time to figure out, really, what am I supposed to do? Some of you have maybe felt the calling, and from the time you were 6 years old, you knew you were going to be a teacher or a doctor, and you've not gone off the path. You've been right, you know what you're going to do. And there's others who are undecided. Take it to the Lord and just wrestle with Him on this, because He definitely has a plan for you, and He knows where you will fit best. And let me detour a little bit to say, there's a profession that goes unnoticed and is really another put-down profession. But deep within the heart of every young lady, no matter what profession you choose, is the innate desire to be a helpmeet and mother and to be a career homemaker. So God has made us the way we are, and that is nothing to be ashamed of. Don't feel like you always have to say, I'm going to be a nurse, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. It's okay to say, I'm going to be a homemaker, but in the meantime, I'm going to do this, or also I'm going to do that. But don't let people demean you or make you feel like you're inferior for wanting those things that God has put in your heart. So, and if you're not sure what career path, another thing, don't hesitate. Take advantage of the resources that we have. Mrs. Gallant is, I've met Margaret and Mrs. Gallant in the back, but that's part of her job, is to help you to kind of figure out. If you're not quite sure, talk to Mrs. Gallant, talk to your academic advisor, and of course, talk to God. You may also ask yourself, where do I belong? Where should I live? Where should I go to school? What friends should I keep? What kind of people should I align myself with? So, where do you belong? What is your calling in life? Well, first of all, you're not at Weimar by chance. If you were going to any other school, basically you would go online, fill out the forms, send in your transcript, get your classes, and start. But do I have to remind you of the process you went through to come to Weimar? And it was a lot of work on your part, all the essays and things you had to write. Also, there's a process here on our end. When your applications come through here, they're prayed over, they're discussed in a committee, you guys have interviews, and not everybody's accepted. Quite a few have not been accepted. And so I think you're here for a purpose. I mean, you are here out of God's design. He wants you here. And it's interesting that when on the NSO assignment, the very first one that you turn in and you kind of say why you want to be at Weimar. So there was a lot of different reasons. So I went through all the different reasons of why people wanted to be at Weimar. And for third place, there was a tie for a Christ-centered education and natural hands-on approach to lifestyle healing and health evangelism. Those were the third place. Second place came in good academics. But first place came in spiritual environment. You wanted to be in a spiritual environment. And by a long shot, it was a huge number of people that mentioned that in that assignment. They wanted to be in a spiritual environment. That's an excellent reason to be here. It's a wonderful reason to be here. But Weimar's spiritual environment, the faculty and the staff, we pray constantly for our students, we pray for each other, we pray for the campus. But quite honestly, you guys outnumber us. When you come to campus, the environment changes, and it depends on you which way the environment goes. So to maintain a spiritual environment, we got to all be on board. You've heard these different campaign slogans like for litter, like Zero Litter Campaign. That's actually a slogan. Keep California Clean, or Litter, it's beneath us. So maybe Weimar should have some like motto or logos, slogans like Zero Sin Campaign, Keep Weimar Spirit-Filled, or Sin, it's beneath us. So whatever degree path you end up in, just make sure that you're following your true calling. Align yourself with those that are seeking God, pray for those who are not, and seek Him yourself. So back to Basil. Basil was standing at the edge of the pond. He was glancing back and forth. Remember, he's looking at the donkeys. He was looking at the horses. It was like his wheels were turning. I just was amazed. And then he looked down, and it was almost as if he would looked into the water. And then he brought his head back up, and he turned and he started walking toward the donkeys. And I thought, wow, I wonder if he'll just sniff them, leave, but he didn't. He joined the donkeys that day. And with confidence and resolution, it was like he had found who he was. And he never again went back to the horses. Never again. Been going back to the thrills and everything like that. But he followed his God-given calling. So, is it time to draw a line of demarcation and be separate from the influences of the world, to join the ranks of God? Is there a better time than now? For we're foreordained with a purpose. Our first purpose is to be the children of God. See your reflection in the Word of God. Look into the Word of God. See who God has ordained you to be, because you're a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for God's own possession, to proclaim the virtues of Him who called you out of darkness into His marvelous light. Let's pray. Father in heaven, thank you that you love us so much, that you care about every aspect of our lives. Lord, I ask that your Holy Spirit will be poured out here on this campus and on each of these students. Lead them and guide them into your herd. Lord, may we all be faithful through all the things that happen in the world. Maybe we stay true to you. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay.
Thank you, Marianne. A lot of things to process right there. I think I'm going to use some of those ideas for my sociology class. Thank you so much. Before we continue with today's program, let me just inform you that our restrooms are located over that hole right there, and there's also a water fountain there if you want to stay hydrated, or if you want to squeeze your kidneys, you want to go over there. You know, that's where the restrooms are. Yeah, that's a Mexican expression. Probably didn't translate that well. All right. Do you guys have your schedule for today? There's a lot of things that we want to cover today, and it's important because we want to address some of the questions you might have being new to Weimar and learning how to maneuver around campus and how to be able to comply with all the requirements and the things that you need to do here. So I appreciate that you are here, that you're paying attention. And now I would like to introduce Dr. Araya. And, Dr. Netley is here. Okay. So the president of Weimar University, Dr. Neil Netley.
Yeah, in just a little bit. Well, thank you. Welcome again, everyone. I know probably not everyone was there last night, but just want to introduce a few things regarding Weimar University, and then also introduce a few things regarding our university policy on COVID. So first, about Weimar University. This would be your first 4 words to learn, and so see if you can repeat them after me. Unapologetically biblical, uncompromisingly scientific. Go ahead. Okay, I heard like a ripple effect. Let's see if we can, maybe I just need to split it up into 2 words each, and then you guys can try it. Unapologetically biblical. Uncompromisingly scientific. Yeah, those are 4 words that you could describe Weimar University. And those 2 actually go together. You know, we live in a wonderful land called the United States of America. That United States actually allows a lot of freedoms in all sorts of areas. There's a freedom to believe in God and to follow Him in the United States. There's a freedom not to believe in God and not to follow Him, or not follow any of His precepts as long as you're not murdering others or stealing their property and those sorts of things that can cause, so there's some common laws that we have for everybody, whether they believe in God or not. But one of the advantages of living in the United States is that over time you can actually compare those that are following God versus those that are not, and actually see what happens in regards to emotional health, in regards to physical health, in regards to a lot of other issues. And there has been, science has developed enough for us to now have good scientific evidence that following all 10 laws that God has put forward is good for our physical health and good for our mental health. And whether that's prioritizing God, which is what the first commandment is, prioritizing God in our life. Studies show that if you prioritize God, you're likely to have your other priorities straight as well. If you prioritize God enough to go to church every week, there's significant differences in physical and mental health versus those who attend church in comparison with those who don't. And these are universities like Duke University that has published a lot in those areas. Weimar has also published some to contribute to some of these laws and looking at them. The second law, having to do with images. The more we look at images, the worse our mental health. And that even is in regards to the images that we probably could find of a lot of you if we wanted to learn more about you on your Instagram sites or those sorts of things. The more we're on social media, actually the less social we become. And we also have issues in regards to distractibility when we're more on screens, and we actually decrease our ability for our anterior cingulate gyrus to manage distressing emotions. And that really, the principle behind the second commandment is let's be in the genuine. If at all possible, let's have face-to-face social interactions. Let's have real social discussions. The third aspect has to do with the name. And when we are not using the name of the Lord in vain and we are kind in our speech, it is edifying to everybody. And it is, those who break that commandment are actually suffering from a cognitive distortion called mislabeling. It's not even close to being accurate when we utilize words that are curse words or that are taking the name of the Lord in vain. And mislabeling, you can look at a lot of the studies, you're going to have mental health problems when you start to mislabel things and be very inaccurate. And then, as of 2013, there are studies showing that those who keep the seventh-day Sabbath have significantly better mental health and, in association with that, better physical health. They're actually more likely to be on a good diet and a regular exercise program. But in general, they're able to live above the fray in regards to the difficulties that their life might face. Everyone's going to face difficulties, but they will have superior emotional health. And that was a study that was actually instigated by someone who was not a Sabbath keeper, wondering why Loma Linda was a blue zone that was greatly increasing in longevity. The longest living people on planet Earth are there, as well as their descendants are actually living longer than they are as long as they stick to those principles. So he's saying this is better than the other blue zones. Is the Sabbath a part of this? And so they did a controlled study, a data analysis, and found that to be true. And then when we get to honoring the father and our mother, it's very clear. Harvard showed that as well. If you don't have a good relationship with mom or dad, 90% chance you're going to have a serious physical illness by age 50. 90% chance. If you have a good relationship with one but not the other, 50% chance. It's a coin flip whether you're going to have a serious disease by the time you're age 50. If you have a great relationship with both of them, with that honor and respect, it goes down to considerably less. Far less, I think it's less than 25% chance that you'll have a serious disease by age 50. It's not a guarantee, but what a difference it makes. And of course, that commandment goes beyond just the parents. It goes beyond that to to your work site, to government. We always need to give deference to those in authority as long as that does not break the law of God. We are to obey God rather than man. And so there's a lot of studies showing the benefits there. Obviously, the sixth commandment, thou shalt not kill, it's kind of, you would think it's intuitive enough to realize that if you're breaking that commandment, you actually might die earlier, and you might actually end up with a far worse life in regards to those things. By the way, there is an association. If you are honoring your father and your mother, and particularly if you have a good relationship with your father, 90% less likely that you'll ever go to jail. Another association that's pretty dramatic when we start looking at one group versus the other. The seventh commandment, this is one that started to be studied in the 1940s when we were looking at it, but now there's been more recent data as well. And this is part of what Weimar University contributed to, where we published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine our study on over 8,000 people. And that study showed that if you are having sex outside of marriage, your emotional intelligence is lower and your rates of depression and anxiety are far higher than those who keep the seventh commandment. In addition to that, there's a whole lot of other parallels as well. If your parents have kept the seventh commandment, there's a great benefit for you in regards to that. It turns out they paid more attention to you. They actually had more loving relationships with you because they weren't distracted by the other things that could have distracted them and drawn their affections elsewhere. And so there's generational benefits of keeping that seventh commandment that go all the way to the third generation. And so that is something that we know clearly is important. And of course, some people even intuitively know this. I saw a study the other day. What percent of atheists actually believe that you should keep the seventh commandment in America? Yeah, it's 75%. A supermajority of atheists actually believe the seventh commandment should be kept. And I don't know if that's intuitive or just being raised in a nation that's more Christian around them. Of course, in regards to those who believe in God, it's much higher than that, that believe that that commandment should be kept. But it is a commandment that provides blessings when we do so. The ninth commandment is about telling the truth and being honest, even though it hurts. And to be honest to your own hurt is what the Psalm says, and you're not going to change the story in order to try to change the outcome because you are honest to the core. And that has also been shown to be very beneficial to physical and mental health. And then the last commandment, this should be a little more intuitive, but it's also been studied. The last commandment is not about what we do. What is it about? It's about what we're thinking. God is interested in our thoughts. And He wants our thoughts to be, if we're not coveting, our thoughts will be what? We will be content. We will be content or we will be satisfied. In fact, Benjamin Franklin says, content makes poor individuals rich. Discontent makes rich individuals poor. And so that's a get-rich scheme that works, and it works right away. And that is to not be out there coveting what others have, or who their friends are, or who their girlfriend is, or even coveting positions, but being satisfied in our thoughts. And of course, that's part of having that faith in Jesus. Revelation talks about those who make it in the end are going to be keeping the commandments of God, and what else? Have the faith of Jesus. What does it mean to have faith? Anyone want to give a definition of it? Okay. Okay, to act off of the promises even though there's no proof of the expected outcome. That's pretty good. Anyone else? I think faith, if we're to boil it down, if we have faith in God, that means we have confidence in God. We have confidence in God when it looks like we shouldn't have confidence in God. But because we know that God cares for us, and if we have that complete trust and confidence in Him, we can trust whatever might happen to us. And you know, there's some times where Christians were actually killed for keeping the commandments of God. Doesn't look like it really helped them there, does it? Because they kept the commandments and they went to a premature death. Actually, we're told that if they have the faith of Jesus and they died for that purpose, their murder would actually be seed to raise up more individuals. Because they would say, that person died because they refused to tell a lie. That person died because they refused to kill. That person died. There's something wrong with that. I actually want that experience. I want to obey God rather than men, and I'm going to put my confidence in God as well. And that's how Christianity spread under the most severe circumstances at the time of the apostles. And if God preserves our life, it's because that will be best for His cause as well. So we can trust God in that. And of course, we can also trust that if our lives are taken, the next thought we will have is meeting Jesus in eternity. So it's not something that's all that devastating to us, maybe devastating to other people around us that are going to miss us. But we can place our confidence in God. And so this is just an example of many that you can be unapologetically biblical and uncompromisingly scientific. Interestingly, though, even though the evidence is accumulating greatly in regards to the superiority of following God and following His counsel wherever it's at, there are actually less people interested in that, which tells us that science does not necessarily change people's mind. We think science is going to change people's mind when it's good data and when it's well done. It often doesn't, because science that goes against human nature is going to be castigated and doubted many times. You know, it's kind of interesting. This is the profound thing. Lucifer, one of his arguments against God's government was, we ought to be able to make our own rules. We don't need God's rules. Let's just make our own rules. Angels are good people. They can make their own rules. We'll be happier making our own rules. These rules of God seem a little arbitrary anyways. And of course, disharmony was found in heaven to the point where there had to be a separation and a division there. But you would think out of all countries, Lucifer would love the United States of America, because everyone can make their own laws. If you don't like the laws of Weimar University, you can form your own university, buy your own property, and you can actually start an organization that has a whole new set of rules. That's the freedom we have in America. And so you would think, okay, we finally got a country where everyone can make their own rules and have their own property and make their own rules. But the Bible tells us that despite that freedom, Lucifer is going to interpose his principles. So actually, all of those will be legal, but the ones following God and His principles will be outlawed and will actually be punished the most severe punishments. What does that tell us? He didn't really want anyone to make their own laws. He just wanted laws that were contrary to God's laws. And so that's where this is heading. America was founded on religious freedom, on religious principles. The book of Revelation tells us things will eventually change. But before they change, there is going to be a great multitude that comes in as a result of love and truth being shown in their communities. And it's the rising of that great multitude that goes viral that produces the animosity of the dragon. And that's how it will get there. So it's not going to get there tomorrow because we don't have that great multitude coming in. But that's why we have Weimar University. We want to train you to be soul winners, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and to demonstrate in your own lives, as well as in your science, the advantages of following biblical truth. And so I hope with every one of your classes you're able to see beyond the scientific truths that are there and also be able to understand more deeply the author of all truth. All right, any questions about that? Any clarifications? Any doubts, questions, comments? Not hearing any. I'll talk a little bit about COVID. In fact, that's why I had this up here. The rest I was ad-libbing, but I wanted to talk a little bit about, maybe I will. You probably won't hear a speech like you just heard at any other university, and you probably won't hear a speech about COVID like you're about ready to hear at any other university. The answer to COVID is New Start. New Start is good nutrition, high antioxidant foods, whole plant foods, eaten unrefined. Vitamin C has shown to have immune-enhancing effects even in COVID. It's one of the vitamins that we're actually allowed to prescribe in the hospital when someone comes in with COVID. These are some of the foods that you can get vitamin C from, and you can see some of the foods here. By the way, when you eat Brussels sprouts in the cafeteria here, or when you see them, please try them. A lot of people say they don't like Brussels sprouts until they try the Weimar Brussels sprouts. And they're actually pretty good. There are even sweet red bell peppers are great. Zinc suppresses or shuts down the replication of multiple viruses, including COVID, but also the flu, RSV, rhinovirus. And these are the foods with high zinc levels. Notice the legumes, the tofu, the lentils, the chickpeas, and then the seeds and nuts that are high in it, pumpkin seeds, pine nuts, cashews, sunflower seeds. Physical exercise is also important. By the way, I should mention there has been a COVID outbreak, and the individual did not get it from here because he was actually out, but our chief financial officer actually was down in Loma Linda to visit his sister that went into the hospital, and they won't let you into the hospital unless you get tested. And he tested, and he was positive. No sickness whatsoever. Didn't even know that he had it. And of course, he's on a plant-based diet, but he's also on a vigorous exercise program. He runs 4 miles every day, and he runs 14 miles once a week. And the day before, he had run 14 miles. He had come across COVID somewhere, I guess in Idaho, he thinks. And had it, but was totally asymptomatic and remains asymptomatic. So what did he get? He got the free vaccine. And getting COVID is actually a little better in building up your immunity than the actual vaccine, at least short term. And so I would encourage you to live this New Start lifestyle. Notice this quote from the Pen of Inspiration: morning exercise and walking in the free, invigorating air of heaven, or cultivating flowers, small fruits, and vegetables, necessary to healthful circulation of the blood. It's the surest safeguard against colds, coughs, congestion of the brains and lungs, inflammation of the liver, the kidneys, and the lungs, and a what? 100 other diseases. By the way, those 100 other diseases have been proven. Another thing that helps, contrast hydrotherapy. This was a study in the flu pandemic, 85% reduction in pneumonia and serious infection during the 1918 flu epidemic, similar reduction in death rates. The medical officers that were doing and looking at this comparison says the record is remarkable. It makes the ordinary methods of dealing with the flu appear irrational. And on this country, in this area, when we had our first COVID outbreak, we actually did contrast hydrotherapy on the ill that were here. We're getting ready to actually publish that data, but it showed great superiority in recovering from COVID by the hot and cold treatments in regards to what it does to innate immunity. So vitamin D modulates both innate immunity and adaptive immunity. Vitamin D kind of acts like, if you go into the hospital with COVID, you're going to get steroids. And steroids kind of decrease the inflammation. Vitamin D looks very much like a steroid. It actually comes from the same molecules that are actually making steroids, but it's different. Steroids decrease inflammation but suppress your immune system. Vitamin D decreases your inflammation and improves your immune system. And so it's a win-win to have vitamin D. This is why we need to get some from the direct sunlight, or if we're in school and can't get the direct sunlight. By the way, how do you know if you're getting vitamin D from the sun when you go outside? You look at your shadow. And what does your shadow have to be? Your shadow has to be shorter than you are. So if you look at that shadow and it's a longer shadow, you might be out in the sun, but you're getting no vitamin D from it through your skin. It's not direct enough. And so having some direct sun a few minutes every day can be very helpful, or taking D supplements. Also, temperance, elimination of alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, elimination of sugar. These are things that can help. Even elimination of technology that wastes time, which actually have been shown not to be good for your immune system. Fresh air, forest bathing, getting outside where those evergreens are and walking these trails. Subjects taking 2-hour walks in the woods over a 2-day period exhibited a 50% increase in levels of natural killer cells, which is the body's innate immunity for monocytes. This is what is most directly related to how well you're going to do when you get COVID. And if you get COVID, you might want to use some therapies like eucalyptus oil that puts monocytes on alert. You also want to be getting good sleep and good quality sleep, because melatonin is 30 times more potent than the most potent antioxidant vitamin, and it's also been shown to have beneficial effects. We're also able to prescribe melatonin for people that have this in the hospital. It's anti-inflammatory, potent antioxidant, decreases the cytokine storm, and keeps the integrity of vascular endothelium. And increasing melatonin has been shown to have some significant benefit. We also want to get rid of anxiety. The more we're worried about COVID, the greater our chance of having a poor immunity if we get it. And so we do need to, of course, be protective. But this is a study now from Harold Koenig at Duke. Maintaining in health and well-being by putting faith into action during the COVID-19 pandemic. Few, however, understand that the very emotions that we are all now experiencing actually increase our susceptibility to the dreaded virus. This is because of the adverse effects on immune functioning that fear, anxiety, and psychological distress cause. Positive emotions, though, have the exact opposite effect on the immune system, as do fear and anxiety. Among Christians, these positive emotions are known as the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Indeed, the first of these, which is love, is known to cast out fear. This is Duke University. The benefits to the immune system of positive emotions, including those generated by sacred scriptures and activities like those above, are backed by a large and growing volume of objective scientific research. A large and growing volume of research now documents the benefits of religious faith on immune functioning and vulnerability to infection, viral infection in particular. This research shows that religious involvement is associated with a reduction in pro-inflammatory cytokine levels and an increase in immune functions necessary to resist infection. This was published, as you can see, that first big wave of the COVID epidemic in May of 2020. So I encourage you to set your affections on things above every day, not on things of the earth. Devotions are essential. Worship is essential to a great immune system. And the Apostle John said, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. So, New Start is key, and you are here where New Start is trademarked at Weimar. But also, I could quote you in regards to preventing infection. The Bible has a lot to say about quarantine, actually quarantining those who are sick and not allowing them to spread. Please, if you do get sick here, do not act like you're not sick. We've had this happen where individuals will actually go to the clinic, get tested because they think they might have COVID, and then come out and associate with other students very close by and having conversations with them, not even letting them know they're sick. And then a few hours later, they get a call back from the clinic saying you're positive, and now everyone that they've had a close contact has to go into quarantine. That's not fair to your fellow students. That's not fair. If you are sick, please quarantine yourself and get tested. We do have tests available, and it may not be due to COVID. It may be due to other things, but don't unnecessarily spread this around. And so we would encourage you. I think we have some think you're coming down with something, check with your dean, check with a medical person if you don't know. There's plenty of medical people around here to check with. There's nursing professors, there's physicians, there's the clinic, there's lots of ways of interfacing. And also, if you need to be tested, don't, of course, resist that. I know you guys are here because you were tested and you were negative. Not everyone was negative at that gate, and that was, of course, protective to the rest of campus as well. We're also requesting that for the first week, particularly those who have not had COVID before confirmed or have not been vaccinated, that when you are around people, even in the dorm, to wear your mask. It is possible that you contracted COVID within the last week and you're negative at the gate, but you're going to turn positive within the next week. And so that's why we'd like to protect the campus. If we do protect the campus very well and there's no more outbreaks of that and you're just staying on campus and everyone here is safe, then we won't have to have that mask policy that's there anymore. But we are requesting that just as another way of helping to prevent the spread of infection. So any questions about that or comments? Yes. No, no, I'm talking about for those that are unvaccinated. If they're unvaccinated or if they have not had COVID before, it's just safer to be wearing that mask for that first week to make sure that you're not going to be spreading something. Here's the issue: once you come down with COVID, you have been actively spreading that for 24 hours prior to symptoms developing, and so that's why we want to, even though you don't have symptoms, to be careful that first week. After that first week, if we're all free from that, and we know at that point that, and if we are free, we know that it's not spreading on campus. That seems kind of a little pie in the sky right now to think that's going to happen, but it could. We could have been careful enough for that to happen, but if it does happen, then we can relax the measures. We don't have to have these tight measures forever when COVID isn't actively being spread in the community. Does that make sense to everyone? All right, so Not hearing any other questions. Any other questions, comments about that? Fito, who's next?
Thank you, Dr. Netley. I have a question. If someone would like to know more, can they come to you or any one of our leaders to know more about this issue?
Sure, they can. And also there's going to be more details as far as what to do, what not to do at 5 o'clock today. Our Chief Operating Officer is also a physician and very familiar about all the COVID regulations and was part of the COVID regulations of Weimar University. You'll meet him, Dr. Bivens, and you'll have a chance to ask him more questions as you get some of the more details.
Thank you again. I would like to share an announcement before I pass the microphone to Dr. Araya. And if you are here, if you're enrolled first year for nursing, that means that you're here and you're going to be taking prerequisites for nursing. You are required to take the chemistry placement test this afternoon. Again, it seems there was some confusion in this regard. If you're going to be taking any of the prerequisite classes for nursing, you need to take that placement, that chemistry placement exam in the afternoon. It's on your schedule right there. And also I want to take this opportunity to make an announcement for those interested in joining the Chamber Singers, our choir. There's an announcement on campus and the instructions are there for auditions. And probably you're going to hear me make this announcement later on again, but the information is right there on campus. Probably you received an email, but if you go on campus, you're going to find more information and how to take part on auditions. Dr. Araya, please. The Vice President of Academic Affairs.
Thank you, Fito. Thank you, Dr. Nedley. Before we continue with the program, I would like you to take 2 minutes or 3 minutes of break. You have been sitting here since 8 o'clock. I would like you to stand up, please, go to the bathroom, and I will resume in about 2 or 3 minutes, no more than that. So that way you don't sleep. Okay, we are going to begin again. Please come in. I would like you to take your seats. Okay. Let's see, maybe we can sing a song, a hymn, so everyone will know that we begin in the program again. We have Eric here, or where is Eric? Come over, please. Go to the piano. What we will sing? Who else is going to help you to sing? Okay, Nick. Okay, let's sing a hymn, and that way everyone knows that we're going to begin. He will tell you.
Any favorites? No favorites. Oh, that's really too bad. Okay, let's do 528, because that's my favorite. A Shelter in a Time of Storm. Why don't we all stand to sing this one? The Lord's our rock, in Him we hide, a shelter in the time of storm. Secure whatever may betide, a shelter in the time of storm. Mighty rock in a weary land, cooling shade on the burning sand. Faithful God for the pilgrim band, a shelter in the time of storm. No shade by day, defense by night, a shelter in the time of storm. So fears alarm, no foes affright, a shelter in the time of storm. Mighty rock in a weary land, cooling shade on the burning sand. Faithful God for the pilgrim band, a shelter in the time of storm. Raging floods may round us beat, a shelter in the time of storm. We find in God a safe retreat, a shelter in the time of storm. Mighty rock in a weary land, cooling shade on the burning sand. Faithful God for the pilgrim band, a shelter in the time of storm. O rock divine, O refuge dear, a shelter in the time of storm. Be thou our helper ever near, a shelter in the time of storm. Mighty rock in a weary land, cooling shade on the burning sand. Faithful God for the pilgrim band, a shelter in the time of storm.
Thank you. Let's pray one more time before we continue. Heavenly Father, once again, we want to thank you for being at Weimar University, and we ask that you be with us in the following process that we have for the program. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Have a seat, please. Now, this is a very important process that we are going to do, and we are going to show you how we are going to support you when you are here at Weimar University. You are seeing our president. You are going to talk or see the vice president for business affairs. That will be Dr. Vivian this afternoon. And now let me introduce you to the faculty and staff that's going to support you. I will begin from the staff. Keith, Dora, Erica, please. come over to the front. Also, we don't have the other staff members here because they had COVID. Wanda, we are missing Wanda. Who else we are missing? Erica is here. Yeah, Melissa also. Melissa is also. And who else? Yes, please. Okay. I'm going to ask them what they do, but need to be very fast, so we are behind the program. Margaret, what do you do?
Well, I'll tell you in about 15 minutes.
Okay.
Men's Dean.
Erica.
I am the registrar. Women's Dean.
Okay, good. I will allow you to stand that there, but stay standing, please, right there. Go ahead, you can follow her. Okay, and now we're going to begin with the programs. But when we introduce the program, I would like the students to stand up. For example, the graduate programs in the Master in Biblical Mission and Wellness. Anyone from the Master program is here. Standing up right there. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Very good, yeah. We're supposed to have 13 to 14 students in the Master program. Stay standing, please, okay? And some of them, they are coming, but they cannot come because the airlines blocked for the COVID situation of the country, like New Zealand. They are blocked, they cannot come, but they're coming. Okay, some of the professors also from the Master program. Do we have any here from the Master program? Pastor McIntosh, Dr. Z, can you come over, please, in the front? Pastor McIntosh is also part of the Master program. Okay, Dr. Z, your name, please, and what you're going to teach.
My name is very simple, Deutschen Živadinović. They just call me Z. I'm teaching development of Adventist theology and mission at the master's level. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, Dr. Fodidas.
My name is Fodidas Ndamyo Mugabe. I'll be teaching Introduction to Research Methods, and I'll also be teaching Introduction to World Missions.
Okay, good. You can move over there, please. Let's continue with the Master in Counseling, Psychology, and Wellness. You may sit down. Who are here from the Master in Counseling and Psychology? Nobody, because it's online. Okay, but we will ask Dr. Melissa Garcia to come over. She is one of the professors in the Master program. Anyone else teaches online? And okay. She is not here. Okay, good. Let's continue with and then I will introduce you. Just a second. Right there, right there, right. Stay. Let's begin with the undergraduate business, the business majors. All the students who are in the business major. Perfect. We got standing up. Okay. Okay, now the head of the department of the business program, stand up, please, and come over here. You see the numbers are few. Okay. Dr. Dylan, introduce yourself, please.
My name is Dylan Flannery, and chair of the business department.
Perfect. Good. Yes, stay here on this side. Okay, thank you very much. Can you have a seat? Now we have the education department. Stand up, please, all the students from the education department, the professors, come over this way. No, you need to stay standing. That's right. Okay. Stay there. Okay, we are going to introduce, she is the only student new, but we have 13, 14 students who are in the old. So you're not alone, that's the issue. You're not alone, and we congratulate you. Okay, so, okay, introduce yourselves, please.
I'm Carolyn Ramirez, and I teach education courses. I'll be doing language arts and curriculum and instruction, assessment evaluation, and the capstone for student teaching. And you'll also see me at the elementary school.
I'm Ruth Araya, and I also teach education courses. I'll be teaching Intro to Teaching and classroom management and whatever else they need me to do, and I also be in the elementary school.
Of course, she's my wife.
Margaret Galan, and I teach one class, educational psychology, and I'm a part-time staff.
Me too.
Okay, can you join the crowd in that side, please? Okay, let's continue with the interdisciplinary program. Dr. Garcia, now you announce who you are. And interdisciplinary. Any students from the
Psychology. Who's doing?
Psychology.
Yay! My name is Melissa Garcia. I'm the chair of the interdisciplinary psychology program. I also teach in the master's program, the research methods, and the neuroscience psychoform courses. Most of our instructors in the master's are online, so they're not here. But I look forward to seeing you guys this year.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, natural science department, all the students who are in natural science stand up, and the professors, please come here, come this way. Okay, Dr. Harris, please introduce yourself.
I'm Dr. Christina Harris, and I'm the chair of the Natural Science program, and I teach general chemistry and organic chemistry and biochemistry. And another class that's offered in the spring that we all chip in on is called Issues and Origins.
And I'm Berkryn Feast. I teach in the natural sciences. I teach survey of chemistry for the pre-nursing, microbiology, also teach cell biology, genetics, and neuroscience.
My name is Mark Kinjo. I teach anatomy, physiology, nutrition, fit and well, exercise physiology, help out in a few other classes.
My name is Ron Celestine, and I teach biology, anatomy, physiology. I also teach chronic diseases and lifestyle medicine, histology, and also issues and origins.
I'm John Peacock, and I teach Calculus 1 and 2, Physics 1 and 2. I teach your Survey of Mathematics class, your Mathematics lab, and also team teach with the rest of these guys your Capstone 1 and Capstone 2 classes.
Okay, and besides the teaching, they also do the labs in each of the classes that they teach. So it's not just the class, but the labs too. Okay, thank you very much. You can join them. You can have a seat. Thank you. Now the religion department. Who is here for the religion department? Can you stand up? Students, religion department? Yes. Okay. And the professors from the religion department? Okay, come back again. And Pastor Maxwell is talking with Dr. Nelly outside, but you know him. He's the pastor of the church too. Okay. Students, can you stand up again, please, from the religion department? 1, 2, 3. Yes. Okay. Good. Okay. Which classes do you teach?
Well, I teach applied theology-related courses, missions, public evangelism, and many others. And I teach Greek and Hebrew as well, and life and teachings of Jesus.
I teach Old Testament 1, Old Testament 2, New Testament 1, New Testament 2. Wait, what more? Church history 1 and 2, SDA history, Revelation, and we also do tours in Europe, Reformation tour and Revelation tour.
Okay, thank you very much. General studies, all the professors that teach in general studies. Andrea, please, can you come over? And general education. I'm sorry, general education. Okay. We have any other professor for general education? Ah, that's right. The other ones are with COVID. Okay, come over. Yeah, and also you are going to have Dr. Wilcox is on COVID. You are going to begin the classes with him online. In music, Andres Mendoza, he's also with COVID. He's in quarantine. We don't know if he will be ready for the following week. So that's why we are facing some of the classes, that's a good announcement, are going to be online because they are at home in quarantine. Okay, Dr. Maggi, please introduce yourself.
My name is Andrea Nagy, and I will be teaching philosophy of Christian education, life and teachings of Jesus, and survey of world history. So I look forward to seeing some of you there.
Before we continue, who are the ones that are taking these courses now? Can you stand up? You're supposed to have everyone standing up because you're taking these classes. That's right. If you're a new student, you're going to take the classes. Yes, you are. Okay. Good, good. Okay.
My name is Mariko Kinjo. I'm teaching music like organ, piano, and string class, and also working for New Start and Depression Recovery Program. And especially the string group will do the Depression Recovery Program concert and New Start concert every month. It's really busy. And I wish Mr. Andreas here. He's teaching choir, and he's really busy. He's covered everything, like elementary, academy, both, and college, choir, and teaching so many classes. And we are a really good team, and we're planning to go to, if the COVID things will be, solved, and we want to go to that tour as a group. Yes.
My name is Rodolfo Ernesto Ramirez. You can just call me Profe Fito or Rabbi Fito. I teach, I teach several classes depending on the semester. I help at the business program with business communication and preparing to meet the firms, organization. And I also teach photography, and this semester I'm going to be teaching sociology, introduction to sociology.
And I'm the chair of the General Education Department. Also, we offer a missions class every year over the summer, too. So if you're interested in missions work, this year we were in Belize, and we'd love to have you with us next year.
Okay, we talk a lot about the Pastor McIntosh just arrived late, so please. I need to take advantage when I'm here.
Well, actually, I was here on time, but then I was speaking with the president, and he gave me freedom to speak to you now. So I'm Don McIntosh, like the computer. I do not provide support for computers, except for my daughters. And I teach in the graduate school, the Counselor on Moral Identity this semester. So basically, I wrote a book this summer on how the 10 Commandments can be used in counseling and conversations, but that'll be a large part of the class. And then the second class I'm teaching is Religion and Health, which is something nursing students take and people in the health program take. And then the third class I'm teaching is Homiletics, which is how to homiletize or preach. So I'm teaching preaching, and those that are going to be in the preaching class will be preaching this semester, and they will also be doing a series of sermons or little sermonettes on the Sabbath trail, so the various stones on the Sabbath trail. That'll be one of their projects. And let's see, what else am I teaching? I'm teaching Ministry of Healing, and yeah, that's about it. So marriage and family, I teach that, but not this semester. And I teach the book of Daniel, but not this semester. I do teach Daniel at Amazing Facts, AFCO, this semester. So, yeah, I'm teaching 14 credits this semester, if you include what I'm doing at AFCO. So it'll be a busy semester, but not too busy for you. If you want to get in touch with me, just tackle me. The best thing is tackling.
Okay, thank you, Pastor. And now the nursing department. All the nursing students, please stand up. Nursing students and the nursing professors, please, you come over. Okay, good. Very good. We include pre-nursing and nursing. Okay, Dr. Follett also is the chair of the department. She had COVID also. So we have, as you can see, look at the staff that we have in support. But I will continue with that one after. Continue, please introduce yourself.
My name is Cheryl Guarin, and I teach Fundamentals of Nursing, MedSurg 1. I also do clinicals and skills lab on both of them. Also, I do clinicals of assessment and geriatric nursing.
Good morning. My name is Alma Espargoza. I teach beginning med-surg, pharmacology, and mental health.
I'm Bonnie Hoeing. I teach intermediate and advanced med-surg for the second years, along with the clinical portions.
Yes, we are missing also Dr. Marion. She is at Loma Linda this time. Yeah, she's moving. Okay, she's moving here. So, okay, thank you very much. You can have a seat. Continue, please. Now the health department. The health department, who, please, the professor comes over, who is doing the health program. Stand up. Okay, very good. Excellent. Okay. Well, Dr. Pastor Max is already introducing himself, so.
Let me say something. Health program has been 10 years, and it features teachers like Dr. Nedley and Dr. Bivens and basically a lot of the leaders that lead out in health evangelism. There's basically 3 teams here. There's the clinic that is a series of physicians and those in ministry, and there is the New Start program that is a series of physicians and a person in ministry, and there's the Depression Recovery program that is a physician and a minister in ministry. So what is being modeled on the campus is physician-minister teams, and the health program is designed to prepare you to work in any of those venues. And so the goal is the soul, and in health coaching, all of us need to be proficient in the health program. So if you're not taking the health program yet, and it's not in your course of study, add it.
I agree. My name is Nicole Ramos, and I'm the secretary for the health program.
My name is Esther Juarez, and I teach lifestyle coaching, hydrotherapy, and massage, and natural remedies.
My name is Julie Glass, and I help in the coordination part, the practical application part, like of the lifestyle coaching, and I help Esther in the hydrotherapy labs and with community programs and that sort of thing.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. As you can see, when you come to Weimar University, you have support. And you can see the staff and members that they are here. They are just here because we want to support you to be successful, not only in the academics, but especially in the religious life that we want to encourage you to live here in Weimar University. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. You may have a seat. Marianne Kruger, the library. That's right. Okay, Marianne, please come over. Jules, please come over. I forgot the library. It's not my thing here, but good job. The library is essential for every area that you have. You need to visit our library, and Marianne, introduce yourself, and then Jules.
I'm Marianne Kruger. You already know that. And I'm the library director, so I'm your physical librarian here.
I'm Joel Lutz, and I nicknamed myself the phone librarian. I am the one who helps with the electronic services, and I'm available by phone to help you with your research.
Okay, another person that is on the staff member that really support not only you behind scenes, but also the professors in all the teaching and the technology part. He managed all the Canvas, Populi, and every program that we have, we go to him. So introduce yourself, please.
That's what I do. He just said it. My name is Leland Crum, and I teach a computer class for the business department as well as support Canvas if you have any questions about Canvas and Populi and so forth.
Okay, very good. Before you go, another person that always helps us in everything is Daniel in the back. Daniel, can you stand up, please? Daniel Seves. Thank you very much. Hours and hours of support behind scenes there when all of us do presentations here, also sometimes in the college, everywhere. Daniel is really helping us with all the technology that we have in place in here. So we really appreciate Daniel too. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Fito, what is next? essay, yes, okay, good.
Thank you. I'm going to invite the rest of my fellow essay team up here. We won't take too much of your time since we're running a bit late, lest you fail all your classes and blame me for taking away from your study skills time. But I'd like to introduce you to some of the other people here. Again, I'm Nick Hold, and the person to my left is one of the coolest people in the world, and my roommate as well. And why don't you introduce yourself for us?
Yeah, so I'm the media and marketing director, and I make sure that you are all updated with what SA is doing through things like posters and sometimes videos and keeping the website updated.
Your name too.
Oh, I'm Jonathan Jensen.
Yes. And I'll grab another mic actually. So then, Eric here, you want to tell us a little bit about what you do? Eric Christensen here.
So yeah, like you said, my name is Eric Christensen. I'm the vice president, so my job is to help Nick with whatever he needs help with. One of the other cool things that I'm looking forward to is I get to chair the Senate. The Senate is, we have about half of what SA is going to be this year up here. The Senate is elected at the beginning of the school year, so they haven't been elected yet. But we have 6 senators from the different dorms and constituencies, and their job is to represent the student body. So I get to work with them, and we'll give you more information on that later.
And the fine lady to his left, Abigail Cornelia, she will be the person that you have if you have questions about events or something like that. Abby, why don't you tell us a bit about what you do and what we can look forward to this semester?
So I am the event coordinator this year. So I'll be working with my essay team here to put on really epic events that I really encourage you guys to come to. Most of them will be optional. But to be honest, when I look back at my 2 years attending Weimar, most of my good memories are found going to these events. I highly encourage you to come. We do have one event this year that is required. It's a weekend retreat called R&R. That weekend retreat is a total blast. You'll definitely want to be there. So we're excited to see you all there. And also another thing I wanted to mention, if you want to get involved and really have an impact here at Weimar, come talk to me. A lot of these events, I'll need help decorating, cooking, and it's just a really great way to serve both your friends and just the community here at Weimar.
Yes, and then I would just say one more note. A lot of times you will think, I do not have time for this, I need to study. You know, I have seen people who stay back from these events. Very rarely do they actually study. So, fill your time with useful, productive things. If you aren't going to spend that time studying, if you do absolutely need it, that's okay. But if you aren't going to spend that time studying, go make some friends instead of wasting all that time on your own. That way, when you're crying in your room someday, don't blame us. All right. So now we have Savannah Crick.
Yeah, like you said, my name's Savannah, and I am the secretary for Student Association this year. And so basically, I'll be the person communicating with you all through email and texting and all that type of stuff.
Right, so if you didn't hear about something, blame her. Yep. No, I'm kidding. She will get it to you, guaranteed. She's effective. Efficient. Yes, and Josh.
Yes, my name is Josh Schulterbrandt. I'm the treasurer this year for essay, so I treasure. I count your money, your essay money, and I spend your essay money. And I authorize these guys, well, I help authorize these guys to spend your money. So if you see me driving a nice 4Runner like Nick, then there's a problem.
Yeah, start asking some questions. All right, and then Dr. Kinjo, can you also introduce yourself?
My name is Mark Kinjo, and I'll be the faculty sponsor for SA this year. I'll be supervising them, make sure they don't do anything too crazy. But no, I'll be facilitating whatever they want to do.
All right, just a couple more things about what we do really quickly is we help out, like we said, with events and some of these other things, but we also do worship groups that will be happening during the week. They won't start this next week because we have Week of Prayer, which has some meetings in the evenings. But the week after, we'll start with worship groups. You'll hear a bit more about that, but just to anticipate that, if you have any questions about that, feel free to talk to us. We'll also have a rentals system, which you don't actually have to pay for unless you're late, but it's basically like a library for recreational equipment, such as bikes and like frisbees, balls, sleeping bags, camping gear, yes, different stuff. So you can come and check that out. I believe that will be opening Monday, but we're just working on putting a couple things together before that to go ahead and get that open as well. Is there anything else I missed? Yeah, there may be some other things that we do throughout the semester, but we'll keep you posted on those. Anyway, it is very nice to meet you, and we can move on to study skills, I believe.
Morning. So my name is Margaret Gallant, and I'm doing student success. And you're asking what that means. Can somebody successfully hook me up here? All right, because I don't. All right, so I've been on campus for quite a few years, and I've been jumping around doing different things, and I'm so excited about this position. I have a master's in educational guidance counseling, which leads me to be able to do a lot of things, which I was, in my studies, I was basically a career counselor, but also just counseling in schools. And so that's kind of what I'm doing as a success coordinator here. I'm here to support you in anything. I will help you find support. So if you have questions about anything, please come to me. And sorry, I should have had this up. And are we good? All right. So what I want to talk about today is study skills. And I have a fine group of students up here that you're going to get to ask a lot of questions, so I'm not going to talk the whole time. But I just want to do a quick PowerPoint on some things, on some things that I think are important and that might start getting your mind back into the book. Sorry, summer's over. All right, so let's start. It's kind of interesting because I was wondering what Dr. Nedley was going to talk about. I, too, am going to bring in your top 8 health tips for studying. So I'm just going to do this real quick because you're going to learn and hear all this stuff, and you'll be giving facts. But I just want to say what you put in your body does make a difference on how you learn. Now, I went to college, and I know a lot of you might have already been in college, or this is your first time in college. And for some reason, society makes it look like when you go to college, you should start eating ramen noodles, right? Okay. You know what? Go ahead and eat them, but they're not giving you anything for your studying. So please remember that what you put in your body does affect how you're learning. That's all I'm going to say right now. Exercise. Taking time to exercise is essential for good learning. You know, sometimes when you're just falling asleep, just getting up and running around, running the loop will help you get some adrenaline to start focusing. But make sure you schedule in some exercise time. Water. He talked about the water therapy, hydrotherapy. This morning, when I take my shower, I do hot and cold. Every day I do it. I don't drink coffee. I do my hot and cold shower. It wakes you up. It gets you going. But also, thank you, Mrs. Kruger. She's drinking her water. I've noticed, because I was sitting in the back since 8 o'clock this morning, none of you guys aren't drinking enough. You guys got to be drinking water. When you're sitting in classes, take a water bottle. That should be one thing that you have. If you don't have access to get a water bottle, come find me. I will get a water bottle for you. But please drink water. You need it. You need to hydrate your brain. You need to keep your body hydrated. Sunshine. You know, it's like he said, it's really, Dr. Nedley, it's really important. Your vitamin D level is super duper important. If you don't know what your level is, you can always go to the clinic and get a blood draw and find out so you know where your base is or whatever. But I can pretty much guarantee you that you're all probably low. And it's not to be negative towards you, we're probably all very low. So get your vitamin D. You want to get a D3. You can go to the Weimar and buy one. The important thing with taking it, you just don't sit there and pop them like they're candy. You need to eat them, take them when you're taking in food because it needs to, I don't know, I'm not a chemist, and I'm really, but I know that it needs to connect with a fat. So you need to take your vitamin D when you're eating because that's the best way to take it. Interesting, huh? All right. Temperance, balance is very important. Too much studying can be harmful, isn't that? I should see big smiles like, yes. She says I don't have to study all the time. But also, too much play is harmful too, okay? So just remember, though, you have to have balance. And we're here, the adults around you or the staff around you, we've gone through this. We can help you with that, okay? If you're struggling with that, I'm actually a really good person to hold you accountable. I just have a talent in that. So if you need help, like if you need me to text you or help you with that, I'm willing to do that, to hold you accountable to being balanced. Air, fresh air when studying. Make sure you're getting some fresh air. Make sure you're doing your deep breathing. That's so important. If you're falling asleep in class, do some deep breath. It'll get you going, okay? That and your water will get you through the lectures. I also, when you're sleeping at night, try to, I'm hoping all your windows open up your window and get some fresh air, especially, you know, you're in a room full of 2 or 3, 4, 5, I don't know how many people they put in your rooms, but open up your window, get some fresh air. All right, I'm taking way too long on this. Air, rest. Get the sleep before midnight. Don't think, because this is another thing society tells you, oh, you go to college, you stay up all night studying. No, that's not true. Study and take the evening off. Get your studies done during the day. Use your time wisely, and then give yourself a break at night and have some fun with the guys or the girls in your dorm and talk and have fun. But you have to get your studying done. So you have to figure out how to do that, and I'm going to help you here. And then, of course, trust in God. Pray before any activity, which I didn't pray here, but we've prayed a couple times. So, but I had a gentleman come to do a dorm worship when I was at the academy, and he said, oh, he was like in his 80s, and he sat on the couch and talked to the girls, and he said, every time you sit down to study, pray and ask God to bless the time that you're studying. He will. It's promised. All right, so those are top 8 health tips. And let me move forward. So let's work on time management real quick. So make a semester at a glance. If you've done your stuff, you're looking at that. It's on iOS. Is that what it? NSO. Sorry, too many letters and stuff. NSO. You'll find your semester at a glance. You'll find a weekly schedule, and you'll find maybe a daily schedule. But you'll find those things on there so you can download them onto your computer and use them. I have examples coming up. You're going to get up early to start your day off strong. Sorry, I was a dean. The girls getting up really fast to get to breakfast, their days they're rotten to begin with because they didn't get up, organize themselves, get their worship done, get showered, make themselves look good. You got to get up early and get yourself organized. That is great time management. Just start with that, and then that'll help you start your day. Reward yourself when you get tasks done. Some people just need to cross it off on a to-do list. Some people need to do a little dance. I don't know what you need to do, but reward yourself. say, I'm going to get this done, and then I'm going to go and talk to some friends. Do some things with yourself so you can be successful. Schedule time to recreate or recreate. It's not wrong to have enjoyable things. Read the syllabus and make a plan from your professor's plan. Please, they spend time making this syllabus and you don't read it. Read the syllabus, syllabi, whatever, read it. Because it helps you organize yourself. You put that in your semester at a glance so you know where all your tests are and you can visually see it for the semester. It's a real big help. And you have time in the next few days. Your teachers, some of them should have posted their syllabi now. Is syllabi or syllabus? What am I supposed to be saying? Syllabus. Okay. So, sorry. Look them over. Start writing in when your quizzes are, when your tests are, because then you're going to see your semester as a whole. Then you can start planning what you need to do. When you have a term paper due, plug in when it's due, but also then you're going to plug in times when you want your outline done, when you're going to research, because you don't work on that term paper the day before it's due. We hope not. Okay, so you want to plan out, okay? Okay, that's read the syllabus. All right, so here's an example that you probably have seen, very small, horrible. You can get on there and copy it. If you can't find a copy of this, I will give you my information at the end. Email me or text me and I will send it to you. But look for it because, you can do that too. Okay, and then here's the weekly schedule. So what you're going to do is, the one on the right is done. So if you do you like colors, put everything together how you want so you can see how your day runs. And put in their exercise, put in their study time, put in their talking to friends, put in your week so it's planned. Now let me tell you something, you'll do this and then something will come up and it'll mess all that up. It's okay, just it'll help you and guide you, okay? And then what I like to tell people from the semester at a glance and the week at a glance is this is just an example. There's a Paper Me, whatever, it's an app, whatever. You can download these things, but you can just use a simple piece of paper. I like to get up in the morning and write down what I'm going to get done that day. So you have goals, and you have goals for that day. And then when you finish your day, the things you didn't get done on that day, you either have to place in another week or another time during the week, or you just push it over to the next day. But if you just put 4 or 5 things, big things that you need to get done, you're going to accomplish something that day, and you will feel better about going to sleep. A lot of anxiety about I'm never going to get anything done is you don't remember what you finished that day. So if you have a list of what you've done that day, you can look back and say, okay, I've gotten that done. I've gotten something done today, and now I can move on to the next day. Do you understand? So start big and then narrow it down to each day. All right. Time management continued. Prioritize your to-do list. Do not put more than you can do on the list. Sometimes people put their whole semester on the list, and so it's like it's overwhelming. It's like, I didn't get anything done. Put smaller amounts on. Schedule study and class work hours each day. Put down that on your daily schedule or your weekly schedule when you're actually going to study, because then when your friend says, hey, I'm running to the river, you go? You're going to look at that schedule and say, I scheduled study time. If I don't do that now, I'm going to be messed up. So that helps you. And you can blame your schedule. Oh, I can't go because this is scheduled. It might not be a class, but it's something that you have scheduled. It's on that schedule. All right. Find the right study environment for you, and please don't fool yourselves. Only you know how you need to study. There are some people that can study in a big group, and they're fine. I'm not one of them. I like to listen to what everyone's saying. I have got to find a quiet time, quiet place to study. There are places all over campus. If you are struggling with that, go to your deans or go to me or there's classrooms all over. that you can study in there. I see a lot of students coming into the school and finding an empty classroom. That's fine to do. Once a class comes in, of course, you got to leave. But you need to find places that are good for you. And I can't tell you that. I can talk you through it, but you need to know. You also, when I say don't fool yourself, don't sit in the lobby and think that you're reading your textbook, because you're not. You're watching everybody come and go, and you're getting involved in something else. So you have to be strong and don't do that to yourself. Find appropriate study partners or make a study group. When I say that is, I was kind of joking about this with my daughter this morning, but I was like, you find that cute guy in your class, and you're like, oh, if I could just study with him, I'd get a lot done. No, you're not going to get anything done. So find appropriate people that are going to keep you on task and keep you really. If you have a friend that always wants to do the fun thing, don't study with them, because they're going to push you to that. Don't be mean to them. You can still be their friend, but that's not a person you want to study with. Find that person that, is just like, nose to the grindstone and just working, and say, hey, can I study with you? Because they're going to give you that dirty look if you start talking, like, get back to work. So find appropriate people to study with and make it fun. You're all in the same boat. Work together and make it fun. Sometimes when you're studying back and forth with each other, you learn. Maybe you don't learn that way, so don't do that, okay? All right, note-taking classroom habits. Find what works for you. Try different techniques. Some of you are coming right out of high school where you've never had to study. So you're going to have to learn how to study. Please learn how to study now because, my husband won't mind. He didn't learn how to study in high school or college, and then he went into medical school. Boom. He never had to really study. Learn how to study. Try different techniques, try things. You've got to learn how to study, okay? If you need help with that, I'm great. Well, I'll walk around the loop with you and work on different techniques or whatever, but there's good books out there. Just learn different things. You have to figure out how you learn best. Study the instructor, okay? They will most likely direct you to what is most important. Listen to what they're talking about. Write down things that they're constantly repeating. You know that's important to them. You know you're going to see it again. So study your professor and watch what they're asking you to do. Sit in a comfortable place for you in the classroom. We've been told that, the smart kids sit up front. That's actually not necessarily true. You need to be comfortable. So if you're there's psychologically, if you're paying attention to the instructor pays attention to you. And when they see your test come through and they know that you've been sitting up front watching you, they're concerned and they're going to be, so they're going to be there for you. If you're in the back on your computer the whole time, they're not going to be caring as much. That shows. But if I know somebody that needs to sit in the back because I'll just be honest, they have a little bit of anxiety and they don't want anyone sitting behind them. That's okay. And that's totally okay if that's what you're going through. But here's the thing. If you're sitting in the back, pay attention so the professor knows that, you're actually involved in what's going on. Or if the teachers have a seating chart, I don't know if anyone does, they might do that. The big classes might do it just for attendance purposes. If you're sitting somewhere that's totally uncomfortable for you, go quietly to the professor and tell them. They'll hopefully switch it without making a big deal about it, because we want you to be learning. So communicate with the professor, but sit where you're comfortable. Don't sit with all your friends just because because if you can't pay attention, but you want to be with your friends, you're going to have that conflict. So sit where you can pay attention and do your best work. Okay. Paraphrase your professor's words, for taking notes. Write down the ideas that the professor repeats. I kind of said that. Read over the PowerPoints or notes that are given to you before lecture. If you read things over before you go into lecture and then you go into the lecture and you hear them, first of all, you're going to remember that it's in the notes or in the PowerPoint or in the book, and that's going to help you So that's going to organize it in your brain a little bit. Oh, I've heard that, I saw that. And then it's also, if you're looking through something in the PowerPoint and you don't understand it, like teachers will send you PowerPoints before you go to come to class. That might happen. Read through them. Then you know what's coming. If you don't, like if you're real confused or nervous about one area, star it, and then, you know, when they're going through it, you can really pay attention and try to figure out, or write down your questions. It just organizes it for you, and it helps your brain, hey, I heard that, okay, I heard it again. And then after class, if you have time, it's always great right after class to go through again, maybe underline some things, read it over if you have time, and organize. I'm telling you, your brain, the more and more it hears it, it's gonna come back easier, okay? All right. If you're able to spend some time after class, I said that summarized, do that. I know some of your classes are boom, 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 and you can't do that. So maybe during your study time, rewrite your notes or go over write down examples that you remember. Make your own abbreviations for taking notes. You know, you don't have to write whatever. Jesus, every time someone says Jesus, I just put a capital J. That was my abbreviation for Jesus all through school. So you have your own abbreviations for words. And, you know, when I take notes during sermons because it helps me pay attention, because I like to be doing something. So I just take notes. So I have notes from sermons, and it helps me remember the things that I want to remember. Okay, notice verbal cues. So when a professor is talking to you and they say, this is really important, what do you think you should do? Make sure you write it down. Because if it's really important to them, you will probably see it on an exam. You will see this again. That's a pretty easy verbal cue, right? Okay, so notice verbal cues. Even actually, like sometimes, I know when I teach a class, when I'm really excited about something, I show it. Like I'll sit up straight, or I'll like get excited and I'll tell 2 or 3 stories about it. That's how you can kind of catch on to, hey, this is a passion of the professor, so it's probably important. Okay, use colors, mnemonics, drawings, listings, highlighting, whatever you need to do to learn those things. Some of you are just going to have to remember, you know, AMP, that, you know, you have to remember this is the elbow or whatever. You just have to remember those things. It's not like some theory or anything. You're just going to have to remember some stuff. So you're going to have to figure out how to memorize. All right, new generation, that's you guys, can learn well while typing and writing and whatever you're doing, okay? You are better at that than me, old person. I wasn't raised like that. We get that. The thing is, you're going to need to be patient with the professors' thoughts on this, because this isn't what we were raised being told. And there's research to show that the new generation of, you guys were raised with stuff around you. You were raised, you know, whatever. But the professors are going to be concerned if you're sitting there typing something and they're not even, you know, like, what is it? I want to know what they're typing. So it's like I want to go around and say, hey, who are you talking to, or whatever. So pay attention. If you need to take notes on your computer, and the professor says no computers for the room, you're just going to have to make do with that, or go and talk to the professor. They're understanding, but here's the deal. If you misuse your technology, it's going to hurt you guys. So if you've got people, if you've got friends with them, they're sitting there texting friends, and you're going to lose your devices in your classes, because I'm sorry, it's inevitable. If I'm teaching you, I feel more connected if you guys, like, you're all looking at me so nicely right now. I'm so excited. But that makes me want to talk to you more and make me excited about what I'm telling you. If you're all sitting there doing whatever, shopping or talking to all your friends at home, it ruins the classroom environment. It really does. It ruins the mood. So pay attention to what the teacher's saying, because you're actually paying them to do that, and they're real passionate. Everybody that's working here is passionate about what they're teaching. They're here, otherwise they'd be somewhere else, okay? They're here to teach you because they're excited about it. So I think it's kind of a respect thing. Respect that they're giving you their time, and then they're going to definitely respect you back. Okay? All right. But we understand. So you know what? Like those spinners that are real quiet, that's all right. If you need to be spinning while someone's lecturing, I wouldn't have a problem with that. You know, when I grew up, it was the pencil thing. Those people would sit there and flip those pencils. Yeah. Just make sure, seriously, for your classmates and the teachers, make sure it's not making a noise. Some people just, you know, if they're clicking it and then it's flying across the room, that's not going to be. So the spinner is kind of easy because you can keep in, I don't know. But I get it that some of you have never really sat and concentrated on one thing at one time. I know that might be new for you. So, you know, whatever, a little doodling thing is probably all right. But whatever works for you, and if a professor kind of talks to you about it or gives you the look, go and talk with them and say, you know what, I'm struggling with this because whatever. The other thing is, too, I know some of you might have been in online school all last year and have not even been in a classroom for over a year. So take it easy coming back in. We're here to support you and all that. It's going to be drastic. You know, you're not on Zoom anymore. You're going to have to actually be alive with people. And I know, you know, on Zoom you can sit there. I don't know. Some schools just let you block off the face, which is ridiculous. But you know, you can whatever you can do. Well, that's not going to really happen in the classroom as easily. So you're going to have to be understanding of the professors wanting to engage with you. All right? All right. Reading. Plan on reading more than once. So time yourself that you're going to read over a chapter. You might have to read it twice. And, you know, you don't have to read every single word. You know, you don't. The neat thing about textbooks these days, they've put summaries. They help you out a lot. They're just amazing now because they give you highlights and outlines and all this stuff. So look over your textbook and learn how to learn from it. And if you need help with that, I've gone over that with students. They've come to my office and I've gone over how to do that in a textbook. But plan on reading more than once. Highlight, take notes, annotate, summarize, self-monitor. Just read one section and then monitor yourself. Make sure you're taking it in. Because if you're just reading it saying, okay, I just got to get through this chapter and then I can go, you're going to read the chapter and then you're not going to remember anything. So self-check yourself. Read or overview your chapter before lecture on that chapter. I know in my class, I want the chapter read before you come to the lecture because that's what we're going to be talking about. So when you don't read it, it's obvious and it's not a great class. So read overview before the lecture on that chapter. Review what you have read in smaller increments. Choose a good time to read. Don't read in bed, late at night, or while in a busy place. Figure out where you can read the best. Glossary of terms are important. Understanding the captions and the figures in the chapter. Key concepts and end of chapter reviews are great. Pace yourself. Do not leave the reading until first test. Learn from that. Oh, this is what I need to, you know, that's going to be that first test. But you listen to the professor, ask them questions before the test on what the format's going to look like. And, you know, it's hard because the interesting thing is all of us test differently because we're all different human beings. I mean, it's not like we do standardized tests. So, or some of them might do standardized tests. So you just kind of get a feel for that. But understand that, that if that first test is, it's kind of like flipping pancakes. You know, that first pancake is always a bummer. It's kind of like that with the first test. So learn from that and move forward. Do not cram. I can tell you that, but you're going to try to do it. Please don't. It's like, it's just not going to be there. And the thing is, everything we're teaching you should be connected. So if you learn it really well in this class, you're going to see it again and see it again, and see, because everything builds on each other. Make flashcards, rewrite notes, reorganize your notes, whatever works for you. Teach the material to someone else. That's definitely, I see the nursing students do that a lot on the whiteboards in this room. They'll go and teach each other, and that's really, I think they'll talk to you more about that in a few minutes. All right, make sure your classwork is caught up before your test prep. So don't wait for the night before the test to finish all your homework for that class or what's supposed to be done for that class. Finish that in the time that you put the dates down so that you're ready to study for the test. Take advantage of extra credit if a teacher does allow that. Always put something down for the extra credit. Always. And if you look over the test, and if it has extra credit, make sure you give yourself some time. Put something down. I mean, it's extra credit. All right, take advantage of it. Use your professor's expertise and take advantage of their office hours. I'm going to say this again and again. The professors have office hours. Do you know what they have office hours for? They have them for you. They have them so you can come to them and communicate with them and say, Mrs. Golan, I didn't understand what you were talking about. Oh, okay, well, let me take a few minutes and tell you. That's what they're there for. And over and over again, I'm hearing that the professors are sitting there in their offices during office hours and no one's coming. So you're missing a chance to talk with them. And I'm letting you know, if someone comes in and talks to me and I'm going through something with them, I'm going to remember that I probably need to be a little clear the next time, but I'm also going to remember that you care about that class. Do you think that if I know you care about the class, I'm going to care a little bit more about what you're doing? I'm telling you, there's psychology and everything, so remember, show that you're interested, and I'm sure people are going to show that they're interested more in helping you. Because sometimes we just think you're doing fine. Hey, they're doing fine, they're not coming by, and so that's fine. All right, but use their expertise. They know the subject well. They've prepped for it. You are enrolled. Is this really the last? Oh, I did well. Okay, here's some important takeaways. You are enrolled in a university that's small, and we will be giving you constant ways to be healthy and spiritually strong. Take advantage of what's being given to you. We're actually not just telling you because we want to. We know it works. That's why we're here. That's why we've come to this place to work. Communication is key. So many times I talk to people and they've just like, well, the professor said this and da-da-da. I'm like, well, have you gone and talked to them? No. Well, go and talk with them. I don't know why everyone's afraid to talk to each other. You look like wonderful people. I'm not afraid to talk to you. Please don't be afraid to talk to us. We're just human beings, just like you. So communication is key in success. Professors have office hours for a reason. That's you. Use them. Stay motivated and ahead of the game. So some of you are going to get behind. It's inevitable. Learn from that and don't do that again. You can't get behind. So like, I don't know, I don't think, my class is actually an upper division class, so I don't think any of you are in it, but I've already put my syllabus out there. It already says that you're supposed to have the first chapter read by the first day of class. So if you don't read the syllabus, you won't know that, and then you come to my class and you're already a chapter behind. But see, that's an upper division course, so I'm hoping that they have learned, okay? Look at your syllabus. Spend some time. If you have downtime right now, look them up and start reading them and figuring stuff out. That's going to put you above and beyond. Ask questions for clarity. There's no problem with asking a question. Even if sometimes I can get a little sarcastic and I might, say something funny. That doesn't mean that, like that was wrong for you to ask. It's just, we like to be humorous up here sometimes, and we might say something sarcastic in response to your question. That's not a bad thing. We're just having fun, right? Can you have fun a little bit? So remember to ask questions. Don't be afraid. I bet in most classes, everyone wants to ask a question and no one wants to ask it. Be that brave person and ask. Ask in the dorms too, in the cafeteria, anywhere. If you have a question, ask it. And if you can't do it out loud, you can do it. You can email all your professors. You can text them if they give you their phone number. There are ways to communicate. All right. And I'm going to leave it on here. If there's any questions, if you're struggling with anything, it doesn't have to be academics. It can be anything that you're struggling with. You can email me or text me. I don't actually, when I said office hours, I don't have an office. I know it's very sad. My office is anywhere that there's nobody sitting. So and I live off campus and I'm part-time. So please make appointments by texting me or emailing me, and then I'll just make an appointment with you that fits your schedule. And I'm available on Sundays or evenings or whatever. I kind of run back and forth with your schedule, okay? Please feel free to reach out to us. The library, you got to go to the resources there. There'll be tutoring going on. We will send emails out. Make sure you know how to find your emails on Populi, because that's how we'll communicate with you. Read our emails. We give you lots of great information. I will probably be having certain things, like a subject might come up that I want to just have a program on. I'll do that on Sundays, or I might do different days. Or I might send out a survey asking you what you need. Respond to those things so we can help you, okay? So I've got 4 wonderful students. Can you guys get a mic and just come on up? You don't need to sit, stand. Let's be. All right, so I've got 4 students. They're going to introduce themselves. They're going to say what year they are and what they've been studying here. And then you can ask questions to them, anything that comes up. And it doesn't just have to be about study skills or whatever. It can be about, hey, whatever. You'll be getting a lot of information later on today, too, so it might overlap a little bit, but you know what? Repetition is good. So go ahead. You tell me your name and what you're studying and how long you've been here. And
Sure, yeah. I don't think I've ever met any of you guys before. So my name is Josh Schultebrand. Yeah. I'm second year, pre-med, so natural science stuff, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think I've met some of you before, but most of you I haven't. So it's really great to see a lot of you. My name is Jonathan Hunter. I'm, a junior this year. So I started as natural science, and now I'm doing religion theology. But I still have a strong passion for science, so I still take some classes here and there.
Hi, guys. So my name is Sanika, and I'm a natural science major as well, and I'm a sophomore this year, so it's going to be my second year.
And my name is Charlo. I am a junior, technically. I am in my last year of nursing school here, and I've been here since, a long time. I went to high school here, me and Sanika, and we know our way around, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask us anything.
Something that I just wanted, do you see there was a progression there with him? He started out as this, and then that happens, and that is way okay. If you came here saying, oh, I'm going to be a nurse, but then you're like, wow, maybe I want to teach, that's okay. Just come and talk with somebody, and let's explore that, because we can tweak your schedule so you can kind of get a feel for classes instead of just driving in. Because a lot of times in society right now, it's like you have to decide what you're going to be when you're a kindergartner and work your way there. That's not, I don't want to do that to you, because you are in progression of being, spiritually, your spiritual life grows, and you might hear a different calling, and that's totally okay. And it's not a bad thing, right? It happens, and then you can combine things, okay? You can do, so there's a lot of variations. Okay, anybody have a question? Oh, come on. One.
Let's start it off with questions. This is a school year, right? So,
right over here.
do we have?
Anyone? Or
For me, it was pharmacology in nursing, learning all the drug names and what they do and what you can do to, as a nurse, to keep your patient safe. And something that I did to conquer that class was to read the chapter before class. It works. Yeah. And if you read before class, you'll know the terms, you'll know the name of the drugs, how they act, and you're actually listening in class time. Instead of wasting your time sleeping in class, the words just fly over your head. You know, drug names are hard to memorize, so if you read it before class, it does wonders. You recognize it. Yeah. Any other questions?
Any other hard class?
you guys?
Okay. Wait,
So what do you think?
okay, so I think for me, the hardest class for me was general chemistry. A lot of students love that class, but that class nearly killed me. But no, and so something that really helped for me was going to see the tutors. I know for a lot of the classes they'll offer tutoring sessions. I would highly encourage you to go. But it also, I made a lot of mistakes. I didn't read the textbook ahead of time. And I think something that also would have helped is probably like talking to the teachers, because they're very willing to help you and to get you through. But yeah.
Can I say something about tutoring? Don't go to tutoring and expect them to like just do your homework for you. Like they're not there just to figure out that one problem and then you go, oh good, I got it, I'm going to go. They want to help you understand the concept so that you can go and do all of the problems by yourself. So remember that when you're going to tutoring, take the problem of the concept to the tutor. Don't take just the one, you know, number 4 that you have to get done before tomorrow. So, okay, sorry. Anybody else?
Yeah, you know, I think I'm going to have to agree with Sneeka here. I first came in, like I said, as natural science, and so you get hit straight off the bat with the sciences, right? So chemistry, I'd never taken before. So probably GChem was the hardest class because it was just an adjustment. And you have to realize that if you're coming from a high school where maybe the focus was maybe outside of school or outside of academics more, there needs to be a switch. And so I realized very quickly that you have to be humble and you have to ask the teacher, you have to ask the tutors, because yeah, it's an adjustment. But for some of you who have been, you know, pretty good on the sciences in high school, it'll be just, you'll love it. Dr. Harris is just fantastic. I mean, yeah, it's an amazing class. But for some of you, maybe it might be an adjustment, and yeah, just ask questions, be humble.
I have a question for you guys. Do you think by asking questions that makes you like look, do people look down on people that ask questions?
Not at all.
Okay. So that's something, yeah, because sometimes when you're in a classroom, you're like, oh.
Yeah, usually if someone asks a question, it's like, oh, that's a good question. I'm glad they asked it. Because really, the best student is a humble student. You can't, too much is on the line, whether it be your family support, your own support, to act like you know it, if you don't.
Oh, but you know what? Don't be that student to ask a question to get the teacher honest, like to veer them off. Ah, I see people laughing. I know. Oh, if you get so-and-so to talk about this, they'll just talk about that for the rest of the class. But guess what you're doing? You're not getting the information you need to get through the exam. So don't waste your class's time. I can tell by your laugh you are remembering exactly who that professor is, because yeah, don't waste questions like that. Ask questions that are gonna, you know, that you really have questions about. Oh, sorry. Don't ask questions right at the very, you know, people want to go to their next class and then you raise your hand and say, hey, could you explain this? Like right at the end. You know, when the teacher says, what's your questions, do it early or don't do it right at the end of class, all right? Any other questions? Yes.
Like, what's your go-to study spot for campus?
Library. And you can, like, if you can't study in groups, go upstairs. I can't study in groups. I don't get anything done. There's an upstairs in the library. There's like little cubicles there that you can, yeah. It's a library. And empty classrooms.
I know what I was going to say. You're going to tell them where your spot is, and then they're going to
No.
take it. Oh,
Really?
they flipped it.
Okay.
So somewhere in the
Ask
library.
Mrs. Kruger, yeah.
So there's group study areas in the library, and then great at figuring out, walk in there and say, hey, I need the quietest place. Then she'll show you that. All right. Any other have secret places?
It's a secret.
Oh.
Yeah. I will say, on the group studying thing, I really appreciated what you said about that. Something that I really found beneficial was learning how you learn. That's a huge thing. I think in NSO it's included, learning your study style, if it's visual, auditory, because you could, like you said, very easily get into a study group where you are learning nothing. And so I got some really good advice from Dr. Celestine, and that is when you study together, don't come into it blank. Come into it having already read, gone over the material so you could test each other. So you're not just studying, but you're taking it one step further. And so find a good secluded, not too secluded, but yeah, find a good spot to do that too.
Yeah, I just wanted to bounce off of that. I agree with that 100%. Don't waste your time studying a way that doesn't work for you, because then you won't have any free time, and then you'll just be dead when you actually have to study the way that you learn. Like for me personally, my place that I never study is the student center because I like to talk to people, and I will be talking to people right up until my exam, and I'll be like, I'm gonna die, and I will die.
But you didn't. You're alive.
I am alive, yes, because I did not study at the student center.
But tell them your little testimony that you told me before coming up here.
Oh, okay.
Confess.
Yes, this is a bit of a confession. I don't know, maybe some of you are going to try this coming into this year. I slightly recommend it. Slightly.
That's all right.
But okay, what I did was this. I came in with the mindset that I'm going to study as little as I have to, like just enough to do what I want to do, which is not just, pass. I want to get more than pass. But for what I wanted to study just enough and not, study everything over and over and over, because I want to have a life, There's more to life than just studying. Like once you get your degree, what are you going to do, just study? You better have friends, you network, you do whatever. So I would take a quiz. I would notice how much I studied. I would see my grade. I would be like, that's more than enough. I'll study a little less next time. And so I would do that and get enough and study a little less. There was one time when I came in not studying at all. That didn't go well. Yeah. So don't do that. But this is kind of a side note of study how it works for you.
Yeah.
If you know you can use the pressure of a short amount of time before you study, before your exam, is not cramming, but controlled positive procrastination to an extent. That was my experiment. For me, it works. I know for some people it works. But if that's not your thing, then do not do that. Yes?
With that in mind, what is the best way to memorize scientific terminology?
Oh, Anki. Eric said Anki. I haven't used Anki yet because you need to know how to use Anki.
It's do you want? Yeah, I've used it before. You're like a genius on it. But essentially, Anki is a flashcard deck that is on a computer that you could go through, and it basically, I don't know, how many people here have already used Anki? Okay, one. So talk to him. It's a really cool tool that you can use, and it times out, basically, it brings back cards periodically so that once you're forgetting them, it'll bring it back. And it's really good for classes like A&P where you have just hundreds and hundreds of terms.
Do you type in the information?
It's already set, yeah. So it's out there, so you just have to find the people with it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Also, another thing to use beside Anki, it's I don't think it has as much to offer, but it's also simpler to use. It's called Quizlet. So we use that too.
Who has used Quizlet?
Yeah. So yeah, back to the question on scientific names. For me, I don't think I've had to memorize that many, but the key for me when I study, personally, is understand why. You don't just memorize it, like for math formulas, for example. You don't just memorize the formula because it's hard to remember, but if you understand why, you can rebuild it in your mind, even if you don't really remember how it went. So yeah, for scientific names, learn the root words, understand what they mean, yeah.
That's beautiful for everything. If you understand where, because then you'll go back to, that's a spiritual lesson too. If you understand something for yourself, you're going to be able to build it back up. I like that. All right. Thank you. All right. Any other questions? I know, but you know what, I got up here late. Can I have a few more minutes? 2 more minutes, okay. A couple more questions? Yes.
Are here like places in the nature where you can do this study?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. There are hundreds of acres back there connected by trails. And so you might find some people studying out there, but a lot of it's kind of open real estate to find a study spot. So we have a small little creek that has nice benches by it.
There's benches, and there's a bench going up towards the farm that looks out. That's nice. Also, you know, walking the loop, I know some people just have to be moving while they're going through their flashcards. That's a great place is walking the loop, doing that. Moving while you're studying is really important for some people, okay, kinesthetic learners. Yes? Can you just send me an email or a text that you want them?
Just one more thing I wanted to mention or emphasize again is pay attention in class, because you're going to be in class whether you're not focusing or you are focusing. And then if you don't study class or listen in class, you're going to have to study again. So it's like if you pay attention in class, you cut your study time in half, sort of.
Yeah, yeah. On that, again, it's not high school anymore. This is a step up, guys. So you're going to have to treat it like that. This is college. Maybe for some of you, it's it's a walk away from high school. But yeah, the good thing is every one of the professors here is here for you. Like she said, they would be somewhere else if they weren't. And so really, really don't take advantage of that. If again, you have to be humble. If you don't get the results you want, or even if you do, take it one step further and don't just learn to pass, learn to learn. So take advantage of Weimar. I mean, everyone is here for you guys.
Yes. Can I give you the 10-minute rule? Sure, give us a 10-minute rule. As long as it doesn't take 10 minutes, because then I'm in trouble.
I mentioned I'm the phone librarian. Call me a virtual librarian. I live across the state. I'm available to you by phone basically every minute you're studying, but basically from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. I'm available by phone. But here's your 10-minute rule. Anytime you're doing a research paper, if you're trying to find resources, after 10 minutes you're not finding what you need, pick up the phone, call me, text me, whatever. By the way, don't use email. Call or text. I'm terrible with email. I've got to be honest about that. But call me and text me. I'm available like that. My wife knows I'm available like that. She's fine with that. But after 10 minutes, if you're not finding what you need, give me a call. Because you're going to keep spinning your wheels longer than 10 minutes if you don't call me, probably. So don't hesitate to call me.
I'm excited about that 10-minute rule. Wow, I didn't know that existed. All right. There are so many resources. We could sit up here. I'd love to all day, but we do have to stay on schedule. And so we're gonna move on. But you have my email, my phone number. You see their faces. Stop them and talk with them. We're here. We're a family. Please, we welcome you. We're excited to have you here, and I just hope that God blesses you this year. Thank you. Thank you.
That was great, right? And believe me, this is not the academy. This is not Haskell. If you are off to a good start, chances are you're going to keep improving. So follow that advice. They've been there, and they know it works. Now, what we're going to do next is the following. I'm going to ask department chairs to please come forward. The idea is to divide you guys, and you're going to spend time with your department chairs, and they're going to give you some information. They're going to interact with you. You might go off Haskell to talk with them, and then you'll return. So please, I'm going to ask each of the department chairs to announce themselves so that you'll know where to go, and they'll tell you what is going to happen next.
Hello again. I'm Dr. Melissa Garcia, Psychology Interdisciplinary. So if my students want to stand up and we're going to go to that corner right over there where those empty chairs are. I'll meet you over there.
Okay, I'm Christina Harris. I'm chair of the Natural Science Program, and we are going to go down to classroom 175 because you have a lot of classes in there, and that will be good for you to know where that classroom is at.
And for those who are going to be outside Haskell, remember that we need to come back here before 10:30 because that's what's up next.
11:30. Yeah. Classroom 175 is just up the hill here. It's right along here, and there's a small door that you kind of have to bend your head to get in, and that's where 175 is at.
Okay, theology, religion, which all of you are eventually switching to. That's, as we saw, it's, right, Pastor? Okay. Classroom 275 with Dr. Z, and the health students go to the health classroom. How many of you know where the health classroom is? College looks like an H, like there's a classroom here, 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 here. It's on the top left. So you go up and in, and you go to the left classroom, and that's where the health students meet. I will meet with both groups at different times, but Deutschen or Dr. Z will meet with theology at first.
MA in Biblical Mission and Wellness. Dr. Atara is not here yet, but just follow me. We will have time together, and he will be here soon as well.
So if you are undecided, if you are an undecided student, you have two options you can do right now. If you're undecided and you think, well, I would like to visit like maybe the nursing or visit the religion or whatever, you can go listen to them if you would like to. Otherwise, if you're undecided, please meet me up in room 224 in the College in Douglas Hall, all right? Room 224, all right? You can follow me up if you don't know where that is.
I'm not the department chair, but in behalf of Dr. Follett, for those of you who will be nursing program, we'll meet you in the debriefing room. Mrs. Green is already there.
And where's my education student here over there? Talia? Okay, I'll meet you over here in just a moment.